Hey everyone, welcome back. Haven't done too much since the last video, but wanted to just show the little bit that's happened and then play our first derby game against Dortmund. So I mentioned at the end of the last video that I might have one piece of transfer news, and it is that I brought in Nicolo Fagioli from Juventus. I think a pretty good deal. Got him for only 700K, and I think he's probably one of our first choice players in the midfield, but at least gives us a chance to rotate there, which we really needed another option for those two more attacking roles in the midfield. As you can see, pretty well-rounded, maybe not great in anything, but a well-rounded player that can fit into a lot of roles, and he'll be playing today because we need to give Salazar a break, so he'll be starting in one of those midfield spots. The other thing that happened, and I made a mistake here, is we did transfer out one of our backup wingbacks. He wanted out of the club, so decided to go ahead and let that happen, but did arrange for him to be loaned back to us for the rest of the season. But that's where I made a mistake, is I didn't realize it had unregistered him when the transfer went through, even though he is still within our club. So right now I can only use him in cup matches and not the Bundesliga. So trying to get a free transfer that we can register to take that backup spot until the winter break. I thought it would be a good time, now that we made it a couple months, to look at some of the data and get an idea of how we're really performing. So I think as we go through, what we'll see is, in general, pretty average, which I think, given our talent level, is actually pretty good, means our tactics are working okay. If we look at just the general performance view, really the only thing that stands out of us being below average is just getting our shots on target. So I don't think that's too surprising, with some of our attacking threats being more creative instead of finishers outside of Jovic, but something we obviously want to try to look for ways to improve. And attacking, not completing a lot of our crosses, which is a little bit surprising, just given that we are a pretty good team in the air, but obviously that's showing up more on the defensive side than it is the offensive. And then again, just not getting our shots on target. Defensively, similar to what we saw last year in the Bundesliga too, we're really strong at clearing the ball, getting blocks, interceptions. So when we look at some of the more detailed views, I think it's something we want to keep an eye on. Ideally, I'd like to see some of these numbers go down and try to win possession further up the field. So that's something we're going to have to keep evaluating. We've played some strong teams early on, so as we get a little bit further in the schedule, it's something certainly be looking at if we need to make modifications. But about league average in conceding, tackles, total tackles attempted, but just doing a lot more closer to our net. So I won't open up all of these, but as you can see, like I said, a lot of the data confirms where you can see our blue dots just right around the middle, pretty average overall. Shooting, getting high quality shots, obviously we're just not getting them on target. So this to me looks like a little bit of an outlier that hopefully we'll start to see us jump to at least, getting average number on target if we are getting high quality shots. But this is the one that stands out to me, is where our defensive actions are taking place, where over 50% of them taking place, in 18 yards and closer. So that's something we want to continue to monitor. We'd like to see this jump a little bit more up the field. I haven't made any changes to the tactic yet, but it's definitely one I'm looking at, especially as we get further into the schedule and play some of the more mid-table and weaker teams. And you can see gaining possession kind of in line with that into our end a lot, which makes sense. But then losing it pretty well distributed, obviously struggling to get past the midfield a little bit. So again, something we'll try to look at, see if we can do better. And then in the air, strong performance overall. Since the last video, haven't done too much. We did have to go to penalties in the cup. This does mean that we've reached our objective from the board for the season of getting to the third round, but obviously would have preferred to, with our fixture congestion, not have had to go into penalties, and that's probably part of the reason we've had to rotate some of the players going into today. And so we'll be playing Dortmund today, and then we're going to go back to the system we played against Bayern with the three at the back, see how that works there. I have made a couple tweaks to try to improve where it was lacking. But outside of that, we gave it at least this match to see how it goes, and hopefully be able to get something out of our rival. Okay, and here's the free transfer I was talking about. Jonathan Meyer can play that fullback spot more so than a wingback, but that's fine. That's what we typically use when we're playing fourth at the back. Not great, but decent physical attributes, especially pace. Okay, marking and tackling. Like I said, not a great player, but he's good enough for what we need him for, which is really just to rotate in for the next couple months. All right, so as you can see, a little bit of a rotation, but pretty much playing the same tactic we did last time. Just took off a few instructions that I thought maybe could help us to fill in some of the gaps and then change some of the roles. So put this one on roaming playmaker to try to help with the fact that we don't really have too much up here, hoping, get a better balance of actions, especially going forward using this way. And then bringing in Flick as the defensive midfielder, that's more, I think, like I talked about last video, just the number of cards we were picking up has really made it a struggle to keep Baumgartlinger in the lineup. So we're going to go with Flick for this match. All right, it's Dortmund, not surprising with how they're coming out. It definitely has potential, even with our three at the back, to get overwhelmed, especially with just the talent they have on the front line, especially Holland. But see what we can do. And we have dropped down a little bit to the middle of the table, but you can see just the congestion that's up all the way up into the fourth place spot, and we do have the match in hand. Certainly not how we wanted to start off, just letting Holland break through within the first 15 seconds, but hopefully not a sign of things to come there. That could be a yellow at least. Sorry, there was a weird cut in the video there. Had to change the set piece a little bit since you noticed on that defensive one that Phillips is up as our furthest man forward when he should be on the lumber, depending on to win the header in the box. Terrible giveaway there to result in a goal. Obviously, something you can't afford when they're the huge underdog. They're in pretty good position defensively, but you can't make that happen. save there. I know looks like we have an injury, but it looks like he should be able to play through it, so I think we're okay now. Not totally surprising that we're getting dominated, but given that we definitely performed stronger than that in this formation against Bayern, certainly a little bit concerning. Lucky that's not something. That one looks off to me. We'll see if it turns into a goal, but it doesn't look like it's under review. I thought he was offside. It's like kind of perfectly for, I think that's Phillips that kept it on. A little bit hard to say if this is just the system isn't going to work for us, given we're only playing it against Bayern and Dortmund. But I think still we're going to have to switch to the. It's probably too late at this point to switch back to the 4 at the back, but we'll go ahead and do it and see if we can get anything better out of this match. Can't say I'm totally shocked. I mean, wasn't expecting 4-0, but not totally shocked to be down. It's just clearly disappointing. We have had a few chances. One of those within Football Manager, where obviously the fans and board aren't going to be happy about a performance like this. Considering we had 3 at the back, just really need to figure out something in that tactic, even if it's Dortmund shouldn't be giving up this number of shots right in the middle. Another terrible giveaway there. Howland's going to get his fourth. Another terrible giveaway by us. Clearly, it's not the deciding factor, but giving away 2 easy goals from the same player. Pretty terrible performance. We'll go ahead and make the change, given the injury. I was hoping he could play through it, but down 5-0, there's no point in pushing it. I don't think we're going to get one back there. It's definitely been better since we switched to 4 at the back. Something we'll have to keep an eye on after this video. Maybe play it in a few games where we should be more evenly matched to see if it's like it's just a matter of an error in the tactic, or the tactic just doesn't suit our squad, and figure out if we just scrap it and find other options to be our backup. Just had another chance to, not that it would have made a difference in the outcome, but certainly nice to see the chances created, but we need to, as we talked about when we were looking at the analytics, better job converting some of these chances. That's again here. I think it's been a little bit more even since switching the tactic, so might just, I'll use at least 1 or 2 matches, see if it works better against other squads, but otherwise we'll look at what other choices we have. Might even though we don't have a great second striker option, might just go with a typical 4-4-2, see if that helps against some squads where we need to play a little bit more counter-attack. So not expecting any change in the outcome by making a sub late, but just want to make sure I'm getting some rotation done at times. I think the other thing is we have to start playing shorter kicks out of the back with our keeper, who's just not winning many of those headers going up, so probably have to play through the defense more often. One thing notice in the analytics, and you can see that the screen comes back up for this match, is I think only about 45% pass completion from our keeper, giving away that possession too easily. And that probably explains some of our how often it's showing us losing possession right after the halfway mark. So really poor performance, not completely shocking, and I think if you look at the second half, a little bit more even certainly than the first. But not shocking against Dortmund, but want to do better, and certainly warning signs about the tactic. So in the table, still in 10th, but a couple strong performances away from getting right back into contention, but ultimately pretty good performance for our goal of just staying in the Bundesliga. Looks like we're going to be down for the next 2 to 5 weeks, so 2 to 3 going to the physio, which is what we'll do. More potential concerns just with the rotation that we'll need to make. When we look at the schedule, not a ton of huge games all the way up until really the World Cup break. So I think what we'll do is we'll play ahead till then, or get through the World Cup so that we're back into the transfer window, and then come back to see how the club's faring and move ahead a little bit in the series to see if we're going to be able to stay in the Bundesliga this year, or even if we're already in a position where we're competing for Europe in year 1. But I think hopefully we'll get some results out of this, and by the next time we come, we'll at least be safe to stay in the Bundesliga for another year. Thanks, everyone.